What's a quote that permanently changed the way you look at things? Let go or be dragged, an old Zen proverb I heard at a meditation class. Really changed the way I let myself worrying about things. I had a professor in college, he called it the 10-90 rule. Life is 10 what happens to you and 90 how you react to it. Changed my life. Edit. Thank you for the award. I hope this helped at least one person. It's honestly so simple, we can all do it every day. It really changes your perspective when you put it into use. If you wouldn't take advice from them, why would you take criticism? Some dude on YouTube. I just never thought of it that way before, and I stopped spending so much energy trying to get people to like me. You might be the sweetest peach on the tree, but some people just don't like peaches. This helped me get over my lifelong desire to be liked by everyone, and allowed me to focus on becoming someone I actually liked. I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. Mark it on a workbook for anxiety disorders. Long time ago I was meeting two women on the sidewalk, and just as we passed each other I heard this one sentence from one of them. You don't notice your progress in life because you are always raising the bar. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting. And yes, it isn't the real quote, but elementary school aged me internalized that thought, and I have applied it to everything ever since then. If you look for the light, you will often find it, but if you look for the dark, it is all you will ever see. Uncle Lero, Legend of Korra, has helped me through some dark times in the past. Just looking for that small bit of good in a heap of bad. Graveyards are full of irreplaceable people. That quote helped me stop going down the path of working myself to death because my job needs me. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. This helped a lot with my guilt and burgeoning martyr complex. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it is a quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. Marianne Radmacher. I came across this a long time ago, at a point in life that I really needed this lesson. It's okay if I feel sad and resigned. If my depression beat me for today, and I wasn't able to function, I didn't fail, I'm not weak, I will try again tomorrow. If you're trying to break a habit, don't say this is the last time I'm doing it to yourself. Instead, say this is the first time I'm not doing it. That mountain you've been carrying, you were only supposed to climb. Single quotes. Really helped me overcome a lot of traumatic experiences and difficult chapters in my life. I hope it helps someone else out there. Dear Abby's response to a writer thinking of going back to school, but worried that she will be 40 by the time she got her degree. How old will you be in for years if you don't get your degree? You are going to be 40 anyway with or without your degree. It reminded me that letting age stop me from my plans was just silly. Also, working at a community college and seeing so many people going back to school in their 30s, 40s, 50s and thriving, the quote really spoke to me. The axe forgets, the tree remembers. Zimbabwean don't forget how they were treated. That's why it's so important to be to it. I honestly did not expect this to blow up. Thanks y'all. I saw this one time under a post about parenting and it stuck with me. As a mother of two stubborn toddlers, some days are rough and filled with thin patience and frustration. I use this quote to remind myself that how I am with them will be what helps to shape them. My husband and I set the example for them, and both of us had crappy childhoods. I don't want them traumatized like I was as a child. I want them to be molded with love, not negativity. Just because you lost me as a friend doesn't mean you gained me as an enemy. I still want to see you eat, just not at my table. Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. Every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. Carl Sagan. Pale blue dot. Don't let a wishbone grow where a backbone should be. It's no use wasting time worrying what other people think about you. No one is thinking about you. And remember to take care of yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. Been living up to those ideals recently and I feel I have just started living. I understand there's a guy inside me who wants to lay in bed, smoke weed all day, and watch cartoons and old movies. My whole life is a series of stratagems to avoid and outwit that guy. Anthony Bourdain. You cannot convince people to love you. This is an absolute rule. No one will ever give you love because you want him or her to give it. Real love moves freely in both directions. Don't waste your time on anything else. Cheryl Strayed. I visited Pearl Harbor this week, and the one that struck me was there were many acts of heroism that day, not all of them recorded. It reminds me that even when nobody is watching, it's still important to put forward your best. Never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. Hanlon's everyone's out to get you. There are a lot of stupid people in the world. Honey, I hope it's the worst thing that ever happens to you. From my dad when I was complaining about something. He probably didn't intend for it to be deep or anything, but it puts things in perspective. I think of it all the time. The people who say you can and you won't are usually the ones scared that you will. On the wall, the background of an episode of The Killing. When I became a man, I put away childish things, including the fear of childishness and the desire to be very grown up. C.S. Lewis. Paraphrased, when people act crazy, they're either actually crazy, which is unlikely, or there's a good reason for their behavior that you just haven't figured out. Dr. David Burns in his book Feeling Good Together. Excellent book about getting along with people and trying to understand. Wow, thanks for the awards and the discussions here. It's worth mentioning that, in my quote, crazy really refers to surprising or unreasonable behavior, not genuine me at illness, and good reason refers more to an explanation for the behavior. The point of the quote is to not write people off because you don't understand them. Not sure the exact quote, but don't play chess with a pigeon. It'll just knock over the pieces, shit all over the board, and then strut around like it won the game. In reference to arguing with unreasonable people who refuse to and or are incapable of considering viewpoints outside their own and employ logical fallacies to justify their position. Edit apparently is attributed to a guy named Scott D. Weizenhofer in a comment he made in a book review on Amazon. There's not a lot of things worth caring about. Told to me by a close friend, and it really helped me get over my insecurities and self-consciousness. I wish it need not have happened in my time, said Frodo. So do I, said Gandalf, and so do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. We're all going to die, all of us. What a circus that alone should make us love each other, but it doesn't. We are terrorized and flattened by trivialities. We are eaten up by nothing. Charles Bukowski. Worrying is a waste of your imagination. I saw it spray painted on a sidewalk somewhere. Wow, my first words, hope it helped some people while also hoping it didn't offend others. I used to have some pretty severe anxiety as a kid and would freak out if there was any hint of danger or risk of moderate failure. My parents started not just saying what's the worst that could happen, but actually talking me through the actual worst case scenario, and more often than not, things would still always be fine. I still run through a hypothetical worst-case scenario before making big decisions or intense situations, and it still calms me down. Regret always comes later. My father always says, "This don't know where he get this from, but a lot of good things happened in my life just because of this." It's not a quote. A distant friend once told me that you have to work at friendships. It completely changed my outlook. I just thought friendships came naturally to people wanting to hang out, gifting, etc. But since then, I recognized I needed to do my part, and my friends were doing theirs. If you treat an individual as he is, he will remain how he is. But if you treat him as if he were what he ought to be and could be, he will become what he ought to be and could be. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. This beautiful quote helped me realize that belittling or looking down upon others, even if it seems justified or warranted, never helps any of us to grow and become better. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Viktor Frankl. Tyrion Lannister's death is so terribly final, while life is full of possibilities, helped me out during some tough times and gave me hope that things could always change for the better. It's possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not weakness, that is life. Captain Jean-Luc Picard. From my therapist. Don't know where she got it. When you're the ocean, you don't have to be afraid of the waves. I remembered this when feeling overwhelmed. A person is smart, people are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. 1500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat, and 15 minutes ago, you knew that humans were alone on this planet. Imagine what you'll know tomorrow. Agent K. Edit. Thank you for the silver medal D. In order to empathize with someone's experience, you must be willing to believe them as they see it, and not how you imagine their experience to be. Breen Brown. Have nothing in your houses that you do not know to be useful or believe to be beautiful. William Morris. There are two paths you can go by, but in the long run there's still time to change the road you're on. Led Zeppelin. And if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Rush. I used to struggle with indecisiveness even on important time-sensitive issues, but no action is a choice to keep things the way they are, and I had to learn. And through all of these thoughts, a buzzing anxiety like electricity. And I knew, in that moment, that anxiety is just an energy. It is an uncontrollable, near-infinite energy, surging within me. And for once I stopped trying to contain it. Kaisha Alice isn't dead. I struggle with anxiety lot, and it made me realize that need to run from my problems can be channeled into fixing them at times. It's still best to avoid it when I can, but it is a double-edged sword that I have at my disposal. No matter how many times I may stumble, I will rise each time a better man. The most important step a man can take is the next one. It's always the next one. There are two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Albert Einstein. I'm too late for anyone to see this, but the one that changed my life and still applies. You will never remember the days, nights you stay home and do nothing. Tons of times I didn't really feel like going somewhere or doing a plan, but I think about the sentence and usually end up going. 100 of the times, I ended up not regretting having gone, even if it was a shit, since it's another story for your life that would have never been written if I had gone home. Sooner or later in life, everyone discovers that perfect happiness is unrealizable, but there are few who pause to consider the antithesis, that perfect unhappiness is equally unattainable. The obstacles preventing the realization of both these extreme states are of the same nature. They derive from our human condition, which is opposed to everything infinite. Primo Levi. Survival in Auschwitz. I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living or get busy dying. The Shawshank Redemption. I say, beware of all enterprises that require new clothes, and not rather a new wearer of David Thoreau. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt. It's problematic in that abusive people may use words like this to blame the victim, but this quote opened the door for me to exit an abusive marriage, so I've always remembered it. We are just an advanced breed of monkeys on a minor planet of a very average star, but we can understand the universe. That makes us something very special. Stephen Hawking. The point of living is to live. There is no other reason. UHUA. From the novel To Live. Comfort is the enemy of progress. I don't know who actually said the quote, but my senior drill instructor said it in the beginning of boot camp, and it definitely stuck with me. Two possibilities exist: either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. Arthur C. Clarke. Dead people receive more flowers than the living ones because the regret is stronger than gratitude. When having a difficult time making a difficult decision, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Sometimes you just gotta think about how absolutely fucking stupid the average person is. Then you gotta realize that half of them are even dumber than that. George Carlin, paraphrasing a little TBH. I don't recall the quote exactly, but it goes similar to this: children make so much noise you can't think, but when they leave the house forever, the silence is maddening. I have young kids, and this made me think about how they won't be this age forever. Sucking at something is the first step at being sorta good at something. Jake. My parents instilled a pretty anxiety-inducing perfectionist mindset in me, and it prevented me from doing a lot of things for fear of failure. But I just think of this, and whenever I mess up, I know it's me learning instead of me failing. Sometimes a hypocrite is nothing more than a man in the process of changing. Dallin Colin. Stormlight fixed it. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. O has a lot of irrational fears and is often paranoid anxious. This helps me separate the difference between actual danger and when I'm just allowing myself to feel fear when no real danger is present. The way you spend the day is the way you spend your life. X2OOB.edit. Thanks for the neat award. In the beginning, the universe was created. This made a lot of people very angry and has widely been regarded as a bad move. Douglas, a good perspective on life. How it starts is how it goes with regards to relationships and business dealings. Wish I had known about this when I was younger. It always holds true. Life is precious, both you can't watch it again. Ricky Gervais. In Afterlife, that whole scene really changed my perspective on life. Success is like being pregnant. Everyone congratulates you, but nobody knows how many times you've been fucked. Even though checkered by failure. than to take rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much, because they live in the great twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat. Theodore Roosevelt. Either you're part of the problem, or you're part of the solution, or you're just part of the landscape. Salmon Ronan. And perfect is the enemy of good Italian saying. People don't get what they deserve. I saw it on here somewhere a while ago and it's really changed my outlook. I guess I believed in karma loads, but actually that's all BS. Bad stuff happens to good people and our souls live long and happy lives. They've promised that dreams can come true but forgot to mention that nightmares are dreams. Mild. My uncle once said to me, life is too short to do things you don't want to do. That's when I stopped feeling guilty about not visiting people I really don't care about, or doing things that are expected of me that I really don't want to do. If life gives you lemons, you should make lemonade. And try to find someone whose life has given them vodka. And have a party. Ron Tater Salad White. One sees clearly only with the heart. Anything essential is invisible to the eyes. The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. We choose to go to the moon and do the other things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. JFK. In Victory. Know when to stop. 48 Laws of Power. Paraphrasing a bit, just because you know how it's done doesn't mean it's not magic. Helps me see the miracles in my life and be grateful. The only person who's ever gonna remember your hard work is you. Not this company. Not your boss. Only you. It's not worth killing yourself over a company that'll replace you in 2 days if you're gone. Integrity is what you do when no one is watching. My old hockey coach. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Phil Dunphy. As someone in a very high-stakes career, this one really changed my ability to stay level-headed, despite it coming from a comedy TV show. It has to start somewhere. It has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now? Rage Against the Machine. Just the lyrics to Peace of Mind by Boston. This part of it sums up the whole song. I understand about indecision, but I don't care if I get behind. People living in competition. All I want is to have my peace of mind. Now you're climbing to the top of the company ladder. Hope it doesn't take too long. Can't you see there'll come a day when it won't matter? Come a day when you'll be gone. I do not fear death. I had been dead for billions and billions of years before I was born, and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. Mark Twain. There is a healthy amount of distrust to have in everyone. Nobody's intentions are truly clear, even after stating, "You aren't crazy, you're intelligent." I was having an episode of paranoia, thinking I was abnormal for needing people to earn my trust. My grandmother pulled me right out with those few sentences. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will. Herbert Dune.